How's it going, chat people? How's it going? We're just starting the stream. When do you say the first words after the stream? Do you say the first words immediately when the stream starts? How do you know when immediately even is? How do you know? So, yeah. So, we're going to work on some river levels that don't work yet because we added some rules about rivers. And they are not yet fully implemented. Fully implemented. Okay. So this is flowing forward. Okay. We found another flow. Okay. Where's ocean info? Yes. If info.river polarity is not equal to, uh, we're just going to cowabunga it first. That's how we do it. Um, flow dot. We're just going to cowabunga. Followers of the stream will know exactly what that means. Okay, it's called river polarity. I feel like I need more sleep tonight, so this may not be a long stream either. But I was a little bit excited because I didn't even expect necessarily to be working on this today. It seemed like a next week kind of thing, but we got to it. Info. Yeah. Target ocean. That river polarity. Do I anticipate it being a good starter language? I mean, it depends what you want to learn. I would probably say no, honestly, because you want a starter language to be something simple and bulletproof. Like I learned on BASIC, right? I didn't learn on a real programming language. So, but if you want to learn like systems programming, then is it a Is it good? Yes. Okay, let's see what happens. Do we cowabunga? Cowabunga. Okay. Okay. So now we got to do the next step. Okay. Okay. I mean, we should just do this. Like, what do we even use that? Ocean right direction. No. Okay. So we're just refactoring our thing. That we were already using so as we can call it from another location. All right. We decided not to pass that. That's why we're doing the ocean sample. Do we perform any interesting string/array optimizations? I wouldn't say that I know what are supposed to be interesting string/array optimizations. Will you get models in bottles lifestyle? I mean, you could certainly afford the bottles. Um, is that a useful way to spend your time? I don't know, man. Like the whole problem. So I've never even been to that kind of nightclub that like does bottle service and where that's a big deal for you to order. That whole thing happened a little bit after my night clubbing time, I think. Or That's not necessarily true, but a little bit after I was getting into it. And you're not going to meet good people that way for the most part. Like, who are you going to meet getting bottle service in a club with shitty music? Like, what is that going to do for you? C++ SSO. I mean, here's the thing. Strings are a very common data type. So you want them to be very simple, okay? Is it worth doing a small string optimization for strings that are less than, however many bytes? I claim no, because why? Because there has to be an if statement literally everywhere that strings are used. That just seems really complicated to me. For such a fundamental data structure, I would rather not do it. Yeah, Go is much better than JavaScript. If you want to be a good programmer, don't use JavaScript. It's not good at anything. Like, it's worse than basic because it's so complicated and hard to get started in and hard to make things happen in. I mean, it's cute that you can see your stuff in a web browser, but you should be able to do that anywhere. Yeah, don't if you want to be good, don't waste your time with JavaScript. Okay. Okay, we got our cowabunga. Um, Wait, is that right? We'll see. We might not even want this might not be this might be one square too far ahead to be doing this. Have I ever met Gay Ben? Yes. I didn't really talk to him. Hey, check it out. It was more like, hey Gabe, where's Mike Abresh sitting right now? And he said, he's on 6. But he looked at me, he was like just reading a tablet or something in the Valve office, and he looked up because it was one of his employees who was like trying to be cool and stuff. And but he looked up like, who the fuck is visiting who wants to see Mike Abrash? Because that's a dude from, definitely it's a relatively selective audience who wants to hang out with certain people. And so I don't know if he even knew who I was or not, but it was like, hey. I know other people who are founders of Valve substantially better than Gabe, but even them, I don't see, I haven't seen since pre-COVID. All right, that is what we needed this level to do. We're in 16 by 10, which is a little bit sad, so we're going to zoom out. So you can get debated on this level. You can go up and try to do this. That's it. That's a total debate. Why did that make a hole? We need to fix that as well, but it'll be a separate thing. Yeah, see, that makes a hole. Let's make a separate note for this so we don't get... Needs programming support. We get a hole when the connected river diverts away. But we have the annihilate. That's good. Did I change the river sim since last time I chat with Casey? That wasn't really about river sim in the sense that we're working on it right now. That was just more about rendering, which could involve a simulator. And I guess I wouldn't call this a simulator, but yes, we changed completely the way the water is being rendered since then. Okay. We will record the solution to this. How did it feel when I first got the bag, and what did I do after immediately securing the bag from braid sales? Um, I mean, okay, here's the thing. The first check from Braid was a lot of money for one person, but it wasn't, it was still less than $1 million in the first check, right? So I had because I was a contractor at a pretty decent hourly rate and stuff. What's going on? Does this does this level not exist? So I had like probably 200K in the bank before, something like that. Maybe not quite that much. But like going from that to like, 800K in the first check is like not that crazy, especially when you know you're going to owe like half of it in taxes. Um, but then it keeps coming after that, and you're like, oh, people want to play this game. That's great, and that's what enabled us to make The Witness. But like, I have not been one of these people who spends money on a lavish lifestyle. I have bought a couple cool cars; those came later. Um, but almost all of the money I made from games went to pay people uh, to make more games, and uh, a subs- this development of this game has been very painful because there's been a number of people who like I wish I hadn't paid them. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had that money back, but it's fine. First check went to Threadripper. San Francisco rent prices I regret. Well, my place in Boulder right now is more expensive than anywhere I ever rented in San Francisco. Boulder is expensive, and the reason why is because it's one of the few places in the country that is relatively upscale and nice and kind of insulated so you don't. I mean, there's still a little bit of a homeless problem because the government here is cucks, just like a lot of Colorado, but you know, it's not anywhere near San Francisco bad, and people are happy and having a good time and walking around, and like life is good here, and that's not true in a lot of places. And so anytime you have that, people want to live there, and so it's expensive. Have I been to Korea? No. Do I keep a bag under the mattress for myself? I had earlier this year, not that long ago, $2,000 in the bank. Things were tight. They were tight. And I don't mean tight in a pitch meeting way. I mean the opposite of that. It sucked, dude. People are happy in Tucson, but it's very slow paced. Tucson seems like it might be too hot for me, in the summer. Do people ever recognize me in public and come up to talk? Yeah, they do sometimes. Not every day, not even every week. It's been a long time since I was in anything really public facing. Um, so there used to be a lot more of that kind of thing. Are there legal ways to spread out the income over several years? There sort of are, but honestly, I get massively fucked on taxes, and it really hurts what games I'm able to make. Like it's like people in all the blue sky lefties are like people in America who are making a lot of money don't make any taxes. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I pay like 65% taxes. It's insane how many taxes I pay. Like, it's really hard to make things when 2/3 of your money gets taken by the government, right? It's really hard. It might be less than that now that I'm out of California, but it's still a lot. It's still more than half. It's 105 in Tucson. Yeah. You thought USA was tax free for businesses? No, not remotely. But also, my company right now is an S corporation, and it's a special case of an corporation because it is owned completely by me. It is a pass through income S corporation. So all of the money going into the company counts as my personal income. And that was actually, believe it or not, the most tax efficient way to set things up when the company was started. It may not be now, and I will get consultation on that again before this game comes out. But at the time, it was actually the most tax efficient thing. I need a Saul Goodman lawyer. Like an S expression. It's kind of like an S expression. Okay, so what's going on? I thought I had this. Did I not check it in? It's called something different. Okay, this is not river polarity erasure. It is river polarity annihilation. What is happening? All right. Close this. Close that. That's hooked up correctly. Okay. This is also very zoomed out. Shoot. Shoot. All right. Okay. I designed 3 levels today in addition to all the other things that I did. That's a decent day, you know? Let me go into high security mode for a second. Pardon me. Add my NAND to the S Corp. I don't know that that would be better, actually. You leave the income in the company and pay company tax, which is lower, then take the minimal amount you need out as dividends. Yeah, I mean, that would probably be better now. I don't know. I need to I need to consult. The thing is, in theory, if you spend all the money, it doesn't really matter because you don't get taxed on losses, which is another thing that all the left wing people don't understand. They're like, they hardly paid any taxes. It's like, yeah, they didn't make any money that year, dude. That's how it works. You don't pay taxes because you have money. You pay taxes on income. That's how it works. Um, but again, there's like rules about how far back you can apply things and stuff. And if the income is spiky enough, which ours may be, then you still get screwed anyway. Can I elaborate about the weight loss thing? Not right now. We'll see. I'll keep doing it for a while and we'll see how it goes. Thought you had to buy everything using company funds and file that as company expenses. Well, that would be the normal thing to do, yes. I qualify for no tax on tips. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, we're going to take the W on this. And then we're going to reproduce that whole situation, but maybe on a different isolated level. Or maybe we could do it on that level. Maybe that's simple enough. Just stop eating. It's not really that easy, okay? Because the problem is if you just stop eating and starve yourself to death, and again, I don't know why people don't understand this. It's really obvious. If you stop eating and decide to starve yourself, your body will say, having been through hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, including times when food was very scarce, oh my God, food is very scarce right now. I better minimize energy expenditure, including to the brain and to long term health and all these things, maintenance of the body. Um, and, anytime I do have slightly more calories than I need right this second, I should store those back as fat because God only knows when I'm going to need that fat because Jesus Christ, food seems really unreliable, right? If you do that, that's what your body's going to do. It's actually pretty easy to gain fat if you starve yourself. And that's one of the many reasons why diets don't work most of the time for most people is because caloric restriction puts your body into emergency recovery mode. For your next game, you have to find a way to have a year in reserve. Yeah, believe you me, dude. I would love to have enough extra money to be comfortable. Oh my goodness, that would be great. Just noticed all your programs are blue-green colors. Yeah, it makes them run faster. If your colors in your IDE are red, right? Your program gets red shifted, which means like the frequencies are slowed down. They're elongated, so it takes longer for one wave to pass through the CPU, right? If you're blue shifted, the frequencies are higher. This is also why Rust is slow, because their logo is like a red crustacean. I gotta check this build machine back here. I'll be back in a second. Okay. Getting the light map baker going again. Okay. So we're gonna do another cowabunga. I'm pretty tired now. Just I did a lot today, guys. It was nuts. It was one of those days where I started working on some stuff and then I was like, "Wait, these levels that I thought were working are broken and this is broken and that's broken." And like there's just a mode where like when a bunch of stuff is like you you had assumed it was fine and it's actually broken and whatever. You can either be really pokey and slow and put that stuff on a to-do list, or you can be just like, look, I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm fixing all of this right now. So that's what I did today. I stopped what I was doing, fixed all of it. There's obviously still going to be more broken things, but I fixed everything I could find. And it was like scattershot. I was working on so many different things at once. And but it all got fixed, and then I designed some levels after that and did some overworld updates and some game mechanics updates programming, as you see here. Okay. Dude, Black Dynamite was such a funny movie. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they just didn't keep making funny movies like that instead of what they did. I guess it didn't do that well in the theater, but I feel like that's more down to just how it was managed and released and all that. Those writers all got canceled. Have I watched the new Alien TV series? God, no. I have no interest in anything after Aliens. Aliens was the last good alien related thing. Yeah, I haven't seen Toxic Avenger, but I saw Naked Gun. You find it weird that programming projects on GitHub have logos and mascots. It's not weird at all. It's just an extension of what programmers have been doing forever, which is coming up with some cool name for their project and putting the name first in the post where they tell you about it because they're so proud of their shitty cool name. And then not doing that good of a job on the actual implementation of the thing. So this is just the extension of that into emojis because people's brains can't handle words anymore. It's all emojis, and that's why you have a crab emoji on everything. Romulus was decent. I don't believe it. They got a 7-foot dude to play one of the aliens. Okay. I mean, okay. Okay. So we're going to do another cowabunga. Okay. I just want to make sure that this is where it's happening. Have I watched season 3 of Twin Peaks? Yes. Yes, I have. Yep. So when we make the hole in the thing, it's cowabunga. All right. Okay. Um, wait. Wait. The reason we're dying out is because we're hitting another river. So instead of adding a bunch of code to check for this case, The caller knows that this is the case, so let's just see where we're getting called from. So we're going to break at the Cowabunga. This is the water, and this is the well. Drink full and descend. That was a really good episode. Everything after that, you could have just stopped watching right there. Everything after that, you could pretend is not Twin Peaks. However, my favorite character is after that episode. But I don't know if it's worth it. Dude, later parts of season 3 are so bad quite often. I mean, how much Dougie Jones can a man take in his life is my question. Like, really? How much Dougie Jones? They had Naomi Watts playing his wife, and I still didn't want to watch it. That's how bad it was. It was so painful because I'm like, okay, any minute now it's going to be the episode where Cooper comes back and the Dougie stuff stops because it obviously can't be going that long. No, whole season, whole season of Dougie. Worth it for Candy. Yeah, Candy is the greatest character of season 3. Well, uh, I mean, there are actually several candidates for best character. We have to admit that Wally Brando is a candidate for best character, right? The Woodsman is a candidate for best character, but we all know Wally Brando, or we all know Candy. Candy is really the best character. Did I watch Counterpart? No, I have no idea what that is. Drink full and descend. Okay. Stationary. Yeah, okay. This is kind of awkward. Let's see. Let's just do it that way. I bet C++ doesn't have a double or equal operator. Maybe they do now, actually. Actually, do we really need any of this, actually? Let's just see what happens when we divert a normal river. I'm actually not sure that we really need this. Yeah, I mean, maybe we didn't need all that complexity, huh? Huh, bro? Let's uh let's just mock up something, right? Like, so we're gonna do that and then that and that. I mean, it seems fine. Okay, well, that's good. I was about to do something complicated and annoying, and I realized, hey, actually, actually, dude, I couldn't get past Andor episode 6. It's so bad, dude. And then I looked online. I was like, what are the best episodes? And everyone's like, 7 through 9 are the best episodes. But like, I just can't, like, it's been so bad. So bad. The world represented as sparse voxel grid with states? No. No. You swear it gets better from 7 on? Everyone was telling it gets better from 4 on, and that wasn't true at all. Well, 4 and 5 were probably the best of the first 6, but like that's not saying much. It's been painful, dude. Andor season 1 is pretty good. So Andor season 1, the first 2 episodes are a little bit not quite that good, but then the rest of the season is just really good. It's just season 2 is a total dookie so far. Did I ever watch Stargate? Only a very small amount. It's not. Those kind of shows at some point stopped appealing to me very much. We're going to do a Benny test. The blue aliens with ant antennae. So I'm not enough of a Star Trek enjoyer to even know who that is. Sorry. Why do I think Atari released a Metroidvania yesterday against Silksong? What game was it? I didn't even hear about this. Is it good? We could play that for our nighttime gaming. Adventure of Samara. Is that like Sword of Shannara? Oh, Samsara. Someone here is not an Indian. So here's what you got to realize. The company currently called Atari is not Atari. All right. Somebody like Atari went totally bankrupt. Somebody bought the name a while back and have been running it like badly, right? So it's not real Atari, first of all. This looks like Prince of Persia. What the hell does this mean? Mix Fall Game Showcase. What does that mean? Andorians. Oh, those guys. I vaguely know those guys. Stargate is a hard sell because there's so much. I was considering whether I should go back. I remember liking the Stargate movie, right? Remember Stargate was a movie before it was a TV show? I kind of liked that as a kid, but it was a schlocky movie, to be honest. Um, but for some reason, YouTube just started recommending me Stargate SG1 clips. I don't know if they're paying for that. I don't know what's going on. But they recommended some clip, and it was like the stupidest fucking scene where the Egyptian alien guys are like, our weapons are good. And one of them uses the staff to, like, you know, kind of shoot something very slowly. And the dude's like, our weapons are much better. Oh, go America. And he whips out like a P90 and this girl like shreds stuff with it. And it was so stupid in so many ways. Like, yes, I'm so sure that this alien race that like has magic and technology and can make spaceships and shit can't make a P90. Thank you. How do I manage my infinite to-do list? I put stuff in a text file, but honestly, that's only for short term. Um, Mostly I just know what to do next because I look at the game and see what I need to do. Have I seen Caught Stealing? No, because his movie for the Sphere was such a giant dookie, I almost never want to see anything of his again. Um, Also, I heard that Caught Stealing um, is basically a Guy Ritchie movie without Guy Ritchie. And it would be the second one of those because Bullet Train was also basically a Guy Ritchie movie without Guy Ritchie. So I don't know. If it's good, I might see it anyway, but aliens are against CO2. Yeah. Yeah. Do I think there is anything we can make that an advanced alien race cannot make? The only case in which that is plausible is if we are on totally different tech trees, right? It is quite possible. So, for example, imagine that like psi phenomena are real in some way, and you figured that out, and they work off some totally different principle that doesn't even involve electromagnetic field or something. And so you never discover electricity, even, right? But you do discover this other thing, and you would say, well, oh, you would eventually discover electricity because of the laws of physics and whatever. But what if there's some other set of laws that's really deep that consumes all your science brain for a long time, right? So if that were the case, you could imagine such a thing. It's still pretty hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine, but you could imagine it. It's also possible if the laws of physics have some localized phenomena. Yes. However, if that's true, it might not be possible for aliens to come here, right? Or if they do, it's because they somehow mastered traveling across differential physics, which would be, that just seems really hard, right? Although Greg Egan has a book kind of about that. Uh, and if they could master traveling across differential physics to here, then they certainly could build things here, right? And also, it's hard to so like if you say different places in the universe have different physics, it's hard for that to be true on the galactic scale because we look at the galaxy and we sort of get what we see. I mean, dark energy and dark matter aside, right? But like things can't really be that different on the not even the galactic scale, but the scale of the local observable universe, right? So these aliens would have to be so far away. How are we even communicating with them, right? Has to be local, like exotic regions. Yeah. Yeah. And, maybe that could be true. Maybe if you're near a pulsar or something, something weird happens, right? But then, I mean, again, they would have to travel out of their localized region, right? Because even like, if someone's 1,000 light years away, which is not that far, you know, you can't have a conversation with them by beaming light at each other because it's a fucking 1,000 years one way. It's 2,000 years to get a reply, right? And maybe if they're incredibly slow living aliens, that's fine for them. But for us, it's just not even going to happen. So they would have to travel out of their localized phenomena, and that would it seems hard. No hope for multiplayer gaming with aliens. I mean, again, if so, this is all assuming that the speed of light is actually a speed limit, which it may not really be, and all these things, right? So you know. What kinds of localized phenomena are we talking about here? Well, we don't know, but the point is, actually, Greg Egan has short stories about this also too, right? Um, you could imagine some easy ones to imagine, like what if the physical constants were different in that region such that, you know, masses of particles were different or something like that, right? The fine structure constant was different. Planck's constant was something, right? And like most of the time that you twiddle with those constants, you leave the regime where matter can even hold together meaningfully. But imagine you found a different spot in there, right? And that somehow it's connected. To leave that, I mean, maybe they could teleport because they have different laws of physics, right? But to whatever. So different constants is an easy thing to imagine. Different actual physical laws you could also imagine. It's a little bit harder because you still need to sort of assume if their space is continuous with our space, it's still like quantum fields and all this stuff, right? But like the way the fields are tied together to each other is different, or like maybe they have some fields we don't, and we have some fields they don't. Okay. Or you could go even further. What if it's really exotic? What if like mathematics and logic are different in another region, which is very hard to imagine because you think that the validity of math is like some platonic kind of thing, right? But we built up math, like we inferred math by looking at what happens to discrete objects in the world, right? It started by like counting things and whatever. And like, what if the results of that are just different somewhere else for some reason that we can't even really conceive? And then that could be really weird. Have I watched The Expanse? I watched it for a while, but it got too stupid. After they went through the wormhole and they went through the wormhole and then it was like 2 seasons of just burning time to make a really slow show where nothing happened. And I finally just got angry and gave up. Have I read Three Body Problem? Yes. To what degree of certainty do we know that the constants are in fact constant? Just to observational certainty, right? So at the distance we can see and the time scales that we could infer about, they don't seem to have changed much, although there are some people who disagree with that a little bit. 1 + 1 = 3. Well, who knows? Who knows? Maybe like numbers don't even make sense. Maybe it's something else that's like numbers but different, right? Yeah, there's no, to my knowledge, there's no law of physics that says that the constants are fixed, right? It's just that observationally they appear to be roughly fixed for everything we can observe. Yeah, maybe the cosmological constant is an exception, but there are some people who say the cosmological constant isn't really a constant, it's a more complex term, and all these things. Trying to imagine math being different breaks your brain. Yes, well that's why I set up this hierarchy of things of different levels of craziness. All right, the light map baker is going. We will see where it ends up. Can't we detect chemistry in stars millions of light years away? Yes, that's part of what I'm saying, right? So, like, we can look at stars at the edge of our observational range, which is pretty far, and they make sense to us. We're like, yeah, that looks like what we would expect from a star, right? Now, the observable universe seems very, very big at a human scale, but it might be really, really tiny at the scale of the entire, maybe the universe is infinite spatially, right? And so if it's infinite spatially and you go out a googolplex times the radius of the observable universe, do you expect to see the same constants? It's unclear. We have no, like, we have no real way to talk about that meaningfully. But again, then this discussion started with aliens who might have different physics. So if there's actually aliens and they're far enough away to have different physics, like, would that physics allow them to come here in some way, right? And then what happens? Then does their physics contaminate our physics, right? Or or what? What's the point of this? We're just talking about stuff. If you can't think about hypotheses and imagine things, then maybe you need to loosen up a little. Okay. Our Benny test finished. How we doing? 9 levels failed. Simplify skipping failed. That's so weird. Stones below V3, we know there's a gameplay breakage. This one failing. Like, dude, I literally just did that level. Maybe I changed something. Let me try it here on my laptop where you can't see. That's good news, though. We fixed things. Okay. Wait, what level did we say? Simplify skipping. Simplify skipping. I'm going to run the test. Oh, it fails here too? Maybe I didn't re-record that one. Let's do that. That's an easy. Yeah, you know, I changed. Right, I did. I changed it very heavily. Remember when I said things kept being broken and all this stuff? This is how it started, is I was working on this level. And then, okay, yeah. So anyone who doesn't want to be massively, massively spoilered can, like, stop watching for a second. This is like a fucking mega omega spoiler. All right. I'll get rid of that. Oh boy, we had stuff fall. That's weird. Oh, I was going to make more changes to this level anyway, I'm realizing. But okay. Let's make sure that plays back. Boom. All right. Easy clap. Did I try lab rat? Yes. That green orb wasn't in the game half a year. What green orb? Green orb? Yeah, it was. That was in the game half a year ago. What are you talking about? I already did that. All right. What language has the best string? I mean, it depends on what you think is the best. In our language here, strings are very simple and yet give you lots of capabilities with regard to, because it's not a C string, it's a lot better for catching bugs early and stuff, right? So I think that's all very good. Do we have any code review practices or policies? We're really small right now. So and in general, I don't like to hire people I can't totally trust. We probably still should do occasional code reviews. The way that works right now is it's very haphazard. It's just like if I see some code that I don't like, I'll figure out who typed it in and then I'll email them about it. But if we were bigger, we would probably do something. You should send a fax. That would be scarier. What? That doesn't even make sense. Are you claiming that email is antiquated? If that's the case, you probably don't know that much about how companies work. Chatter is right. No, chatter is not right. Most people use Slack or something similar. Yeah, we have a company Slack too, but because I'm not a fucking idiot, I use email for things that are important, which is also how you talk to every other company that you do business with. We've signed several multi-million deals in the past few years. Do you know how they happened? via email. It's how business is done, bro. God, like 18-year-old kids saying you should use Facebook Messenger to send your things. No, that's not how it works. You won't argue. You shouldn't argue unless you actually, you know, if you sign deals for millions of dollars on Slack, you're allowed to argue. God, what is wrong with the internet, dude? Slack is so stupid because you don't even control it. It's completely run by somebody else, and there's not even a protocol alternative. Like, we do use Gmail right now, mostly just to reflect to whatever aliases people have. But, like, if we wanted to, we could move our email off of Gmail and it would mostly be the same tomorrow. What happens with Slack? Anyway, I think we got our little bit of programming that we wanted to do tonight. We're going to switch over to a card gaming stream. And we'll see how that goes. All right. 10. What am I seeing here? I'm seeing a lot of things that are scattered and not quite how I would like them. Okay, we can get 14 on the 13. 2 goes, 1 goes, 3 goes, 4 on the 5. Queen. 8 on the 9, queen on the king, 7. Yeah, okay, we can do it. 4 on the 5, 8 on the 9, queen on the king, 7 on the 6 on the 5. Like that. All right. All right, great. Good start. Would you self-host? I mean, we self-host a lot of other things. We don't self-host our web pages, but our web pages are kind of an afterthought right now, and I want to move them back onto our own servers because there's no reason not to. What do we do next? We need like red 2. We need gold 2. We need some 2s. 2, 2. Not having gold 2 is really cramping my style right now. Okay, let's just make this decision. Do we want blue jack? I don't see what we would do with that. Although, we could put that in the hole, pop 2, and then queen, trade queen for the 16. So we'd have 17, 16 with green, queen. Then we could do king, queen, jack, 10. Greens here. And that would give us red 8, which could go over there. Then we could put queen, jack on the 10. That gives us gold 5, which we could... This is actually not that bad of a line. I'm not minding what I see a lot of entropy reductions here. 4 or 5 pop off. I'm kind of gonna YOLO this, guys, unless we see, yeah, 4, we put the 4 on the 5 and then they pop off. All right. Okay, what did I say? Queen on the jack, right? Jack in the hole, 2 pops. What? What did I say to do? Queen on the jack. Jack in the hole, 2 pops off. King, queen, jack. Queen on the green jack for a minute. 16 on the 17. Jack goes back down. So we have blue jack, 16, 17. King, jack, queen. We might not be able to... Oh, we put the jack on the 10, actually, at that time, and put the queen there. Let's just see. I hope I didn't screw this up. All right, so queen up, 16 on the 17. Queen down. Okay, so we do this, we do this, we do that, we do that. Let's flip this. And then, well, we said putting everything here. If we do the opposite, that gives us 6 arcana, which not really very useful. So we do this, we get the 8. Okay, again, we could flip these over there and get 8 arcana, which we also can't really put anywhere. So we're going to go this way. We're going to go queen, jack, 10. We're going to go 5 up, put the 4, as foretold in prophecy. All right, so now we almost can't really do what we want with this 18, right? We could put the blue 7 down here, but we can't even put 16, 17 on the 18 because we'd be blocked. So we YOLO'd. It's been successful so far, but we need to regain our slot if possible. And if not possible, we're very sad. Okay, so we could go jack up, 6, 5 in the hole, 9, 8 on the 7. 4, 3. See, 4, 3 could go on the 6, 5 if they were flipped, but they won't be flipped. We could just go 9-8 in the hole. Again, if we could put 4-3, then we could put 9 on the 10, queen on the king, and jack down. But we can't, we kind of can't get through this. Kind of can't get through this. What do we do? We might have thrown. Game of Thrown. Game of Thrown. Oh, this is so painful. This 10 is locked up, which is very sad. We might have lost. We might have lost, everybody. It was probably a little too early of a YOLO. We probably needed to find one more juggle first before we did that, because part of what's blocking us now is a lot of things are just like in the wrong direction. And if that weren't true, we would be fine. Sad. Sad. That's the first time we lost in the new colors. We'll take that though. Hell yeah. All right. It took pity on us and gave us an easy one. Maybe. It's a little too early to say that, but you know. You know. So we could put the 12, all this on here. Jack on the 10, or 10 on the jack, 4 on the 5 gives us 21. Yeah, let's do this. We'll do this. We'll do that. Look how good that is for us. Then we could do 2, 2, 2. Is there anything else to work on here? We could get green 3. Gold queen doesn't do much for us. You know what I really want to do? Actually, now that we have an extra slot, what if I threw all this in the hole? So it's 11 on top, king next to it, and then 9 up, 0 pops, jack on the 10, 5 on the 4, 1 pops, 10 goes on the 11, and then 9 goes on that. Problem is our slot's still filled. But we sort all this out. So we have jack 10 over here, 5, 4, gold 8 over here. We could put the gold 8 on gold 7. if we want. And then we have 16 through 9 here. And then we're not far from putting that on 8. Well, we can trade that with red 4 for the 8. So we would have a green king and a red 4 and all that. That doesn't sound too bad, but let's see if we can find anything else before we YOLO it, because you know about YOLOing it. It's not always the best thing. We could do green 3, 4, 5 pop off by putting 10 in here. 6 on the 7. 5 on 6 Arcana. Let's do that. Although that doesn't let us put our 8 here now. I could YOLO this one, right? 2 pops. Queen on the jack. 3 up. 9 on the 8. King on the queen. 3 back down. So we'd have a 3 Arcana here. Filling this up. That's also maybe not the best. Well, we can't do our double slot maneuver anymore, so that is not in. Maybe I should have done it. Too late now. I'm going to do this one. We might have lost again. We'll find out. See, we kind of want to swap king, queen, jack onto the 10 and jack 10, 9 onto the 8. Not kind of, we definitely want to do that. But we could do this instead. We do it in this order. It had to be a little bit of a runaround. Okay, we still have this 5-6 situation. If I put 6 on the 5, I can clear this. No, I trade it for blue 8, which I could trade for 3 Arcana. Let's try this. 6 on the 5. Right. 8 up. 3 down. Queen on the king. Uh, 3 Arcana. 8 on the 9, and those pop. And then, oh, we get a slot back and these. All right, that was a good move. Maneuver. We did a maneuver. All right, I think we're doing good. We're doing good. We need to get some cards off. That'll get some cards off. So will this. Easy clap. Easy clap. And we win. All right, everyone. We're getting close to bedtime. Does anyone want to... Let's fix one more thing before bedtime. I have a thing on my to-do list I want to fix. We've got... This is our extra energy. So this one, stones below V3. I'll show you what's wrong. What collision detection for the hits would be best to be sure no hits get missed between frames? Collision solids on hands and feet seem unreliable to you. What do you mean? Okay, I think the thing that you're thinking is unreliable is if you just have some rando physics object that's like attached by springs to like the graphics somehow, and Unity game engine is doing collision detection for you. Is that unreliable? Yeah, probably. But like, if you just have a collision polygon that matches the geometry and you test that in a robust way, then what's unreliable about that? You could also just do intersection between pixel masks if it's a 2D fighting game, right? If it's 3D, then yeah. So by between frames, do you mean inside? Do you mean inside one frame of rendering, or do you mean between animation keyframes? Are you talking about like 3D animated characters? Like what is the deal? Okay. What was the level again? All right. I will show you the issue with the level. The issue is as follows. When Bard is like this, she will refuse to go. She should not refuse to go in this case. Okay, so we're going to set a breakpoint. In the wrong file. So we're saying guy is unwilling to go. Why? That should not be the case. Is it this one? Yes. Charmer supported by Charmed. Wait, this isn't an else from guy could go? Guy could go. False. Why do you... Oh, you're saying is willing to go. Okay. That's not a could go. I named it confusingly. All right, we did make some changes to this function a while back. We found ocean. Okay. If we're supported by a thing, and when that thing moves, we will be supported, and the supporter is not a lily or skipping stone. Okay. Position is not threatened at all. Okay, I don't know why this used to work. It might have been like a small change down here. Target position. Oh, this is assuming... You know what they say about assuming things. So here we're like, okay, is it at the ocean position? But in this case, this skipping stone is different. So let's just see. Yeah. So I am not sure if I simplified this out or what. Okay, we could just check. We can just have a more permissive check here. Okay, so okay. Okay, wait. So I think this is gonna solve it for us. We were checking 3D distance to a point. Now we're checking 2D and then saying is it within a Z interval? Wrap distance. I'm just gonna make a little convenience function. Do we have wrap 2 of a vector 3 of a vector 2? All right, well, we're just gonna do that. Okay, what am I doing? I'm going to make a vector 2 version of this. And the vector 3 is going to call the vector 2. And if we mess that up, well, you know what we could do? Let us not forget that this is a real programming language for real men. All right? Fuck yeah. Here's the interface. This declaration does not match the interface. Yeah, we actually need we need any vector too, which I was hoping existed. And it does. All right. Target.z, right. So, okay, hold on though. Sad. Okay, we can't actually do what I'm trying to do. It has to be vector threes. All right. I forgot this, but the amount by which you wrap depends on the z coordinate. So you simply cannot wrap a vector 2 anymore. You used to be able to. So we got to do this a different way from the rip. So this, okay. We're going to call maybe wrap 2. Okay. Maybe wrap 2. Manager target position. All right. So we do that. And now we do this. Distance, not wrap distance. I was going to use our manly programming language features and I couldn't. All right. Oh, what? Distance doesn't take an entity manager, of course. This is what happens when we program at 11:06 p.m. sometimes after. It's really not just the time, it's that it's, whoops. Glad we didn't change that again. I meant to do this. Uh, it's just that I had a day where I worked on a lot of things. All right. Hey, look at that. All right, so we got to revert to Williams that level from the changes I did. What's this one called? Stones below V3. Between the mover and the ocean. For example, a stone that a bard is charming is next to the one she is standing on, as in level whatever. This is something that I've learned to do, especially if you're in a game that has levels and stuff. Say what triggers this code. It really helps you and other people understand later. For the compiler, we do this with tests. We're like, look, this code is in here because in certain cases, and you try to describe the case, but then you say, this happens in test flibbly bopper. And people can go look at flibbly bopper if they don't understand the description, or they can use it to set a breakpoint in this code and whatever. It's super valuable. Super duper valuable. Okay. Right. We got to revert to Williams Stones below V3. I'm scared to look at a certain number, but how many folders are in this directory? Because that tells us 3,700. We have made 3,700 levels or variants of levels that seemed major enough to split them. And, we're shipping around 900 something. So about 20% of the levels are in the game. Just so you know. It depends. If you count variants of the same level, it's maybe not quite. Oh, let's fix this. 7710. We need to sanity check these so that we don't always catch them at runtime like this. Okay, this is... What am I doing over here? Oh, because I went in that level and then exited, right? Okay, well, this is not good. We deleted the view giver that this was for. So let me just find one. Put it here. We're just going to give this a temporary name. Aquabard, that's a really stupid name. Do we use this viewpoint name? No, we don't. I don't think we use it at all. All right. Okay, we are no longer... Oh, we are spewing errors. But that is because we haven't reloaded the overworld, actually. Because when you leave a level, we go into the real overworld. So let's just rerun this and verify that the errors have stopped spewing. We can test that little camera marker that I made. Hey, that's fixed. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's pick up our stupid ass Aquabard. That's like the new DC Universe movie. All right, cool. Cool, and we're going to commit that. Fix broken gameplay on stones below V3. Boom, and with that, we're going to do some bedtime. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Good times. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I'll be traveling for like 8 days, so the number of streams will once again be less. And then after that, it'll be more again. Who knows? We might stream while traveling. We do that on rare occasions. Am I flying out of the country? No. There was a thing. I was invited to a couple of conferences this year on the other side of the planet, but I said no to both of those. I just wasn't feeling it. Um, like I would rather be just focusing on the game right now and helping. I mean, get it done is a little bit premature to say, but we're getting to some important times in development, you know. So, yeah. So I'm just going to California again for a week. That's all, nothing big. All right, thanks everyone. See you later.